activity we're doing is called Group Grid, and this involves the participants getting together without speaking to create a grid that is 6 by 5. So I don't give you a lot of instructions for this activity, but I keep them very limited. And the goal is that you guys will come to a consensus and figure out how to solve the problem. However, this activity is to be done in absolute silence. The result is that each participant must be able to follow a predetermined path from an entry point to an end point without stepping on the lines. 2 feet have to be inside the square, and they have to be able to help each other out. And as I mentioned, without talking. So the next part of this activity is your whole team needs to follow a predetermined path, which I have here in front of me. The starting point and the finishing point is unknown to you. You'll have to discover that by trial and error. And then once you've done that, your whole team will have to try and discover and each follow each other across the path to a predetermined exit to achieve success. The purpose of this activity is teamwork, learning about different ways of communicating using body language, any other non-verbal ways of approach. Who's going to take leadership skills, leadership role, who's going to take on different roles within the job. Alright guys, so what was the hardest part about doing that group grid activity?
No, probably the hardest part I found was just the jump part where like you got all the crosses off the boxes and then you had to jump over the next gap.
Knowing to have like only 1 foot or 2 feet, that I think threw us all at first.
The lack of communication, well not lack of communication, but the fact that we couldn't communicate.
When did it actually start getting easier in the grid?
I think it definitely got easier once we figured out the rules. So when we knew what we could and couldn't do, and we all knew that, then we can just kind of move around, and it was more just about figuring out which square was next.
What could we take back if you were in the role of supervisor or producer or an employer of some kind or a team leader? What are some of the hints that you could take back to help your team work more successfully?
Like in that activity, we're going on trial and error, whereas in the workplace, time is money, so you don't want to go through the trial and error sort of process. You want to communicate with your staff well enough so that they know exactly what they're doing and get the work done efficiently.
In the workplace or in any environment, you don't want to have that complete competitiveness, because if we hadn't worked as a team and put down those little masking tapes, we would have had to be doing it in our head, and it would have taken 3 times as long. So it's just working together for a common goal and knowing that everyone's on your side.
I think as an employer, have very clear guidelines to your employees so that they will not get confused and start guessing what they're supposed to be doing in the workforce and in their team.
I was just going to say that working as a team is very important. At the end of the day, we all are working towards something, and I found that second time around that we all stepped up and helped each other out, and we got it done faster and more efficient.